Okay, now let's move on to current affairs. And of course, one of the stories that I'm going to highlight is the P. Diddy case, in which two of his houses were raided and searched by federal agents who are from Homeland Security Investigations and other coordinating law enforcement. The two houses, one of them is in Los Angeles, the other one is in Miami. Okay, I'm back with another episode, and in today's episode, we are going to start off with the sports section, and I'm going to read the results of the NBA. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into that. So, on Sunday, on the 24th of March, the Magic lost to the Knicks 109 to 107. The Hawks beat the Hornets 132 to 91. The Spurs lost to the Suns 106 to 131. The Bulls lost to the Celtics 124 to 113. The Rockets beat the Jazz 147 to 119. The Wizards beat the Raptors 112 to 109. And of course, the Trailblazers lost to the Nuggets 114 to 111. The Pistons lost to the Pelicans 101 to 114. The Clippers lost to the 76ers 121 to 107. And then we move on Monday, on the 25th of March. We saw the Heat beat the Cavaliers 121 to 84. And the Timberwolves beat the Warriors 114 to 110. The Bucks, of course, beat the Thunder 118 to 93, and the Lakers beat the Pacers 150 to 145. And we move on Tuesday, on the 26th of March. We saw the Cavaliers beat the Hornets 115 to 92. The Hawks beat the Celtics 120 to 118. And then the Knicks beat the Pistons 124 to 99. And then the Raptors lost to the Nets 88 to 96. The Bulls, of course, lost to the Wizards 105 to 107. And then we saw the Spurs beat the Suns 104 to 102. And then the Rockets beat the Trailblazers 110 to 92. The Jazz lost to the Dallas Mavericks 105 to 115. The Nuggets beat the Grizzlies 128 to 103. The Kings won by beating the 76ers 108 to 96. And then the Clippers lost to the Pacers 116 to 133. And then we move on Wednesday, the 27th of March. We saw the Heat lose to the Warriors 113 to 92. The Bucks, of course, lost to the Lakers in double overtime 128 to 124. This was an exciting game. We saw Anthony Davis actually really go out in the game. He had two important plays, especially the one before the first overtime, where he swatted the ball for Damian Lillard was going for a layup. And of course, it was a great win for them, especially because LeBron James didn't play. He had an issue with his ankle, so obviously it was a great game, and the Lakers obviously won. And then we saw the Pelicans lose 112 to 119 to the Thunder. And then the Kings, of course, lost 132 to 96. They lost to the Mavericks. And then we move on Thursday, the 28th of March. We saw the Wizards get beat by the Nets 119 to 122. The Hornets, of course, beat the Cavaliers 118 to 111. The Magic lost 93 to 101. And then the Raptors, of course, lost terribly. They lost by 44 points as they were beat 101 to 145 by the Knicks. Then the 76ers, of course, lost to the Clippers by 1 point, 107 to 108. And then the Hawks, of course, beat the Trailblazers 120 to 106. The Bulls, of course, beat the Pacers 125 to 99. And then the Timberwolves beat the Pistons 106 to 91. And then the Thunder, of course, lost to the Rockets 126 to 132. And then the Grizzlies lost to the Lakers 124 to 136. And then, of course, the Jazz lost to the Spurs 111 to 118. These are all the results I have for you guys. Of course, there's other games which are going to play. There was the Nuggets game that was playing in the early hours of Thursday. I didn't get the results for that one. And there's also games that are going to play early morning, I think on Friday. So that will be in the next video. So yeah, with that being said, we are done with the NBA. We are done with the sports section. Okay, now let's move on to current affairs. And of course, one of the stories that I'm going to highlight is the P. Diddy case in which two of his houses were raided and searched by federal agents who are from Homeland Security Investigations and other coordinating law enforcement. The two houses, one of them is in Los Angeles, the other one is in Miami. And then, of course, has to do with an ongoing sex trafficking investigation laid against him of allegations of him sexually abusing people and so and so, and people have come forward and made allegations against him. So we'll see how it all unfolds in the days to come. And then, of course, moving on to the next story is that the Key Bridge in Baltimore, which is the Francis Scott Key Bridge, of course, collapsed after a cargo ship collided with the one of the pillars, the pillars that hold up the bridge, and this was due to the fact that the cargo ship lost power, collided with the pillars of the bridge. The bridge automatically collapsed, and then, of course, this is a huge problem for cargo ships and, of course, for transportation. The manufacturing suppliers, everybody is had a frenzy on Tuesday when the bridge collapsed because, of course, they have to find alternative routes for them to now transport their goods and to make sure the supplies and everything, the services don't come to a complete halt because, of course, people are going to lose their jobs. People are not going to get the things that they need in the time that they need them. So, of course, this was a huge setback, not just for the manufacturing industry, but just overall the city of Baltimore. The city of Baltimore, because of course now this company is having to find alternative routes. It's gonna take away from what they had and all the income that they were generating from all the cargo ships and all the transportation, the trucks that were flowing through the port and so on. And of course, it's also a sad thing because 8 people fell in the water, 2 were rescued, but ultimately 6 are still missing and they are presumed to be dead. And they were part of a construction crew who was responsible for filling potholes on the bridge. And of course, they fell in the water and they are still missing and they're presumed to be dead. Of course, so it's a sad story and I'll update you guys more with days to come. So of course, moving on to the next story, and that's the 4 suspects, of course, in the Moscow theater massacre, in which 139 people are estimated to have died. So the 4 men, of course, were arraigned. They arrived on trial. They will be charged, of course, with terrorism and maybe other charges of first degree murder and so on. So I, of course, will update you guys more as the case, of course, unfolds and we find out more information about so and so. But yeah, all these stories you guys can find on AP News. I took these articles from AP News. So if you guys want more depth and you want to understand more of what I just highlighted, go to AP News and you're gonna find, of course, a more detailed report or articles of what I just highlighted. And of course, the other current news is not so current news, but it's just something that I want to highlight. Is that elections are looming, and of course, we are saying we're in March, we are about to jump into April. Elections are looming, and of course, we all need to do our research, do our due diligence, and make sure we find out all the relevant information we need to make an accurate an informative decision on which party we are going to vote for. Because at the end of the day, we can't be neutral. We can't say, I'm not partaking, because you can't call for change if you are not chanting in front and actually putting in the right steps to actually make sure the change occurs. If you want change, you have to partake in everything that is required of you to actually to make that change be a reality. So my plea is to everybody is to do your research on all the current parties and so on. So make sure you are informed about everything that's going on, the policies, everything, because at the end of the day, to inform, to to in the end of the day, if you wanna see change, you gotta do all the work. Don't just say no, I'm not partaking. But at the end of the day, when things are going haywire and everything is collapsing, then you are complaining, saying no, this party, whatever, but you don't wanna partake. So do your part, the research, and at the end of the day, when elections come in November, you can make an informed and accurate decision of which party you're going to side with. So that's all I had to say about that. Okay, now let's move on to my favorite part of the show, and that's the question segment. And as I've said before, if you guys want to get involved, comment down below the video, reach out to me, reach out on my various social media platforms. So without dragging on, let's move on to the first question. Is that what is the importance of youth participation in elections? And I would say it's huge. And I know as a youth, we primarily don't like to get involved in politics. We're like, nah, most of us are like, no, it's boring, whatever. Not realizing that it usually affects our lives, and we need to be partaking in it more than we usually are, because it affects our lives. It affects how much money we are going to have, whether we are going to have a job by the end of the day when we finish our education, and so and so. I would just say, as the upcoming elections are coming in November, we need to really partake as a youth, partake in doing research about all the various political parties that are existing, their policies, and how those policies are eventually going to affect us and affect our futures. Because at the end of the day, we can't be complaining about, no, this is unfair, corruption, what, and at the end of the day, when it's time to vote for change, we sit at home and not do anything. So guys, if you're out there and you're like, you feel like you want to see change, actually do your research on the various political parties that you want to vote for, or you feel like a sort of affiliation to, and just make sure the policies and everything that they are saying aligns with what you want, and just partake in politics, because at the end of the day, it affects us, and it affects our whole existence. So partake in politics, partake in the upcoming elections, register yourself for yourself to be an eligible voter when the election cycle eventually comes around. So that to answer the first question, youth partaking in elections is very, very, very important, and then partaking in politics in general is just very important. So okay, yeah, moving on to the next question. What is, in your perspective, what is the key ingredient to success? I'll now say consistency and discipline are one of the two main ingredients I would say lead to people's success. I know I'm not there yet, and I know I can't really speak on success, but I would just say, based on my observation of people who have are successful and been successful, or are succeeding in their various fields, I would say one of the two key ingredients that you can take away from observing their lives is that, one, they're consistent, and one, they're disciplined. And discipline means they are committed to their craft day in, day out. They don't allow anything to distract them from doing or from succeeding in their various industries. So yeah, I would say those are the two main ingredients to success. And moving on to the third question, and is, are you an athlete? And I would say that's directed to me. And I'll say no, I try to be. I know I have the level of consistency, discipline to be an athlete, but I'm just not. And there's really no Like, straightforward answer to it, I'm just not an athlete. I'm involved in other things, being a content creator being one of them. But if I had the opportunity to be an athlete, I would obviously pounce on it. But I never had that opportunity, and we'll see. Well, I'm still young. We'll see if what the future holds. If I have the opportunity to be an athlete, of course, I'll not turn it down. Because for me, I would say it's the most fulfilling task or job or whatever thing, the job to do. Because of course, being consistent and being disciplined is one of the most fulfilling ingredients you could apply to your life. So being an athlete obviously compromises or obviously embodies being consistent and being disciplined in other key ingredients to success. So of course, if I have the opportunity to be an athlete, I'll obviously take it up. But now I am not. So okay, moving on to the fourth question, and is Ronaldo or Messi? And just before I answer the question, I would say they are both in their own category. It's Ronaldo and Messi and everybody else and every other footballer. What they have achieved, I don't see anybody really achieving it. The records they've set, I would say really, I wouldn't say anybody is gonna be capable of achieving it. Maybe I might be wrong. As we've said, there have been other greats before them, and they have also set records that people thought nobody would be able to break, and so, but they broke them. But I would say their level of dominance that they have had in terms of their footballing careers over, I'd say 15, 16 years, maybe more, it's unmatched. And I wouldn't, right now in the current footballing space, I don't see anybody really competing at that level year in, year out. So now to answer the question, I would say for me, my GOAT is Ronaldo, and it's just based on me watching, me being a Man United fan, and so on and so. And that's not to say he's better than Messi, but just for me, based on his style of play and everything. Of course, Messi is a genius. He's gifted. Things he has done on the football field are absolutely amazing, and nobody can really say they're able and they'll ever be able to match what he has done. And even now, he's still doing it, even in his late 30s. And of course, I would say they are just both great, especially them coming from the backgrounds that they have come from, being in impoverished situations, coming from the streets, really not having anything, to now being the most dominant and the greatest footballers to ever step on the football field. They have achieved things that we all dream of, and at the end of the day, not all of us are going to achieve. So I would say my answer is Ronaldo. So moving on to question number 5. What is your favorite podcast at the current moment? I would say it's the Shits and Geeks podcast. And I would say my go-to podcast day in, day out. I watch it, I download episodes. I just really love the chemistry between James and Fuad. It's just great to see two people who are committed to their craft and committed to their friendship, and then they just come up with great content. So I'll say that's my favorite podcast at the current moment. And then next question number 6, what is your favorite book? I'll say the current moment it has to be Mindset, the new Psychology of Success, which was written by Carol S. Dweck. I hope I didn't mispronounce the name, but I'll say that's my favorite current book at the current moment. I just finished it, or let me not lie, I just have a few pages to finish it, and overall, it's one of the books that I've ran through. I rarely run through books. I usually take my time to read, but as soon as I started reading it, I just went in, and I'm about to finish it. So I would say that's my favorite book, until maybe it gets overtaken by something else. But at the current moment, that's my favorite book. So moving on, what do you do in your free time? I would say I really have free time, but usually when I have free time, the thing that I usually do is play basketball. So even though I'm a scrub, even though I'm still trying to learn the ins and outs of playing basketball and trying to get better and trying to make sure I get better. Because for me, generally, I have a competitive and an addictive personality. So if I get involved in something, I want to compete at the highest level, and I want to be able to say I'm good at that thing and it's something that I can add to my arsenal. So basketball is the thing that I mostly partake in my free time. And as I've said before, I'm a scrub. I absolutely suck at it. I have my moments. There are days where I do things and I surprise myself, but at the current moment, I'm a scrub and I'm just trying to better myself in that regard. So that's the thing that I mostly do in my free time. So, okay, moving on. What is the greatest advice you've ever received? I would say the greatest advice I've ever received is follow your dreams, be who you are, no matter what, no matter if the world doesn't understand you, no matter if they place you in a box and they think that you're weird or whatever, just be yourself, pursue your dreams, work hard, be disciplined, be consistent. I would say that's the greatest advice I've ever received. And it's something that it's kind of like my mantra, something that I carry in, day out. I know I'm gonna get better. I know I'm gonna move forward. If as long as I'm disciplined, consistent, and working hard, I know I'm gonna reach my overall objective at the end of the day. Okay, question number 9 is what's advice? I'll say what's advice is you're fine. Nothing is wrong. Everything is gonna be fine. You don't really have to exceed or you don't really have to strive for all those levels. You are not equipped to be you're not equipped to go to the top level. And I'll say that's a worst advice I've received and worst advice to give somebody. We all have a purpose and we all have something that we should be good at and we should do to the highest level, not just for ourselves, but the world in general. We all have a place, we all have a role to play, and there's enough room in the top for all of us to go there, succeed, and of course leave the world in a better place. So telling somebody not to stay at their level and to not think beyond where they are is a mistake. And I would say that's my worst advice that I ever got. The last question, quote of the day. Give us a quote of the day. I would say always stay true to yourself. Never look down on yourself. Never say the wrong things about yourself. Stay consistent, work hard, stay disciplined, stay humble, and never look down on people who are lower than you or people who are doing jobs that you feel like you can't do or jobs that maybe don't reflect your current situation in life. Always be humble, always be respectful, and remember, every dog has his day. Today might be your day, your week, year, whatever, but don't look down on people because what God gave you, He can easily take away in a heartbeat. So remember that and always stay humble. So when eventually, if you fall and you are on your way back up, you are going to have a village that's going to help you and support you as opposed to falling and having nobody and eventually staying down. So remember that. Always be humble, respectful, work hard, be disciplined, and never compromise who you are just for a quick buck. So that's all I had for you guys. Thank you for watching. Peace, love, and love. We'll see you in the next episode. Shop, shop.